All right. Good morning, good afternoon, everybody. I'm joined here by Ricky Regalado of Route. And Ricky the topic today is digitizing the cleaning and field services industry using tech. And our tagline is putting data and tech in the hands of small business owners. Ricky is a serial entrepreneur who loves to lead and empower his teams with an inspiration to succeed in the game of life. Where we work and who we work with eventually become our second family. He has founded 3 companies in the facility services industry. He's a visionary who wants to genuinely impact the cleaning industry and world with positivity. He walks in the shoes of the customers he built Route for and leads with passion and a relentless work ethic. Innovating the industry with technology and processes is the key for the small business owners to compete with bigger companies. So welcome to the show, Ricky.
Thank you for having me, man. I appreciate it.
All right, man, let's get right into this. I'm excited to talk to you. I've got a bit of a background in kind of the cleaning space. I don't know. Have you heard of Rohan Gilks?
No.
So Rohan started a cleaning company in DC, a residential cleaning company, grew it huge. And then he started a SaaS business called Groove Jar. Long story short, Rohan and I partnered on that. I now own that SaaS. But it started out serving people in the cleaning industry. So the idea was he built quite a large residential cleaning company and then built a SaaS to serve them. But he also built a company called Launch 27, which is in the scheduling space.
Oh, I know that
residential
one.
Cleaners. Yep. So that's Rohan. Okay. So anyways, I'm excited to talk to you about what you're doing over at Route. But give us the background story that led to creating Route.
Yeah, man. I love to share it, especially for me with other fellow founders that are in, the non-sexy spaces. I hate to call it cleaning non-sexy, right? But from an outside perspective, that's what it gets sometimes. But I was one of those founders that I hit these pain points myself running the other business. As we were growing the commercial cleaning company, Regalado, I was doing too much. It was everything that on the sales process I was in charge of. And I started to realize it's time consuming, man. And we have nothing more in life that goes away quicker than time. You can't put a dollar amount on that, right? So I hit the brick wall. I hit some pain points. I said, all right, I'm going to go to market, try to find some other technology because we were already using tech. That is there are a big reason why we were growing. But anything that I found was, either a CRM or it was workforce management. So there was really nothing that filled that gap. And it was a pen and paper process. So I was like, I'm in Chicago. There's a big ecosystem here. I was pushed by one of the Chamber of Commerce presidents at the time. He said, Rick, you're always talking about tech. He's like, we're here. And, in Chicago, there's a place called 1871. And he's like, go talk to somebody. Go build this thing, man. Stop talking about it. So I entered a pitch competition. And with wireframes, there's a person from JLL on the judging panel. And he's a big reason why we won, where he just said the potential for this is more than just being a sales solution, because facilities industries need more software. There is software. Don't get me wrong. There is a lot of software in our space, but there's a lot of siloed solutions or either too big, like robust solutions, nothing for the small business owner, which takes up 90% of the market. So I was like, screw it, let's do it, because nobody knows these pain points more than a fellow business owner in the space.
Totally. Yeah. And so what year was this?
This is 2018.
Okay. So 3 years ago, roughly.
3 years ago.
Okay. Where are things at now? How do things stand with Route?
Yeah. So the whole first year was really trial and error, man. I mean, we failed a couple times. We created technical debt. I used an outside agency to develop because I only had one. I got lucky because I found a gentleman from 1871 called Joe. He's a co-founder of mine. Okay. He is my technical founder right now, right? But in the beginning, he was still learning too. We had never done this before. So we outsourced in the beginning. It just didn't work. The business logic wasn't there. We didn't know how to manage outsource, offshore technology. So we scratched it, started back over again. And then we found a CTO at the time that helped us build it from scratch. And we just said, because we had tried outsourcing twice. It just did not work. Built it from scratch internally, launched the product 6 months later. It was really in November of 2019 that we took the first credit card payment, right? It was our first paid subscriber.
That's a good moment.
Yeah, first paid subscriber, because at that point we said, hey, we have a product that we feel we can we can create revenue with, right?
Yeah.
It's not the everything product. It's the 1.0, but it's enough just to even tell us like, are we going down the right path? Is this a valid product? And I was bootstrapping it myself, so I didn't have to answer to too many people, but the clock, started really in 2019.
Okay. So how did you, and maybe you still maybe you still are doing this to some extent, but how do you define the niche? You're talking about going really, really broad versus really, really narrow. So how did you define them? And obviously I know your lane was commercial cleaning. You had expertise in that, you know how the founders think in that realm. So is that how you define that? And what was the process like to do that?
Yeah. So right off the bat, at the beginning, we said, we're not going to go after the big enterprise clients. We know that there's habits, like even my company, right? Like my Regalado is already that top tier company that it's going to be tough to change bad habits and transition from how they operate their sales process. And then we didn't want to go too small where it's like literally one person, because one person could run a cleaning company. I mean, it's very possible, but they're doing the cleaning. So they may not be ready yet, right? So our niche was really somebody who has like 5 employees doing, 100,000 in revenue, up to somebody who has 200 employees doing about 5 million in revenue. That's our niche. That's where, we feel like we can be a solution at that time. And that's who we went after. We did speak to the 1-person companies, right? We did speak to 10, 15, 20 million in revenue in companies just because we took the calls to understand what are we missing that could push them over. And that's helped really lead to 2.0 to really, we still have a niche in the target market, but we're going, facility services, service professionals in general. Because Jim, we throughout 1.0 in the past 18 months, we've had painters, drywall experts, pest control, HVAC, all service professionals across the board sign up for Route. But we knew it wasn't geared for them just yet, but it was interesting to hear them and get feedback to know, this is what's missing. It could be, but we got to do this and that. Yeah.
I'm curious over the last 3+ years, what you figured out and honed in terms of client acquisition. I know that you host a show called Cleaning and Cocktails. And by the way, the 1-minute intro for that is freaking awesome. I was telling my partner about that this morning. It's just fun. Like it's good stuff. But it seems like you've been doing that for a while. Has that been a fruitful? I know it's probably a long-term play, but has that been fruitful in terms of client acquisition, just providing content to the space?
Dude, man, big time. Like if I had to say our number one sales person or sales tactic is content, like, cause it's true. It's heartfelt. It's the real stuff, right? It's what these business owners are going through. It doesn't always have to be about route. It doesn't always have to be about sales. It just has to be hey, we relate to you running your business. We relate to you trying to grow your business. Here's all these different techniques and people and professionals in the space that can help you with growing. But, by the way, we are creating solutions to help you as well. Right. So the show's been great because it's just a good credibility check, man. If especially for me on residential, I don't have that much credibility because I haven't built a residential cleaning business per se. We service, we do floor services for them. We'll do handyman maintenance stuff. But I'm learning that space. So what do? I bring experts in that know that space because I have to show that side of the industry because those are two different industries, residential, commercial.
Yeah, for sure.
That hey, Route can not only be a solution for a commercial cleaning company, but hey, by the way, residential, there's many of you trying to transition to commercial. You don't know what a walkthrough is. You've never had to do one before because residential, you don't need it. You've never done a proposal because you don't need it for residential. So here's a tool that can help you, right? So those are our YouTube channel, just creating quick tip videos, speaking to the audience. For me personally, going through these pain points, Jim, that's it, man. That's really, yes, there's other sales funnels and things like that, but those aren't really the ones that are turning people over to us. We're not there yet. We're not at that point of scale that I don't have thousands of dollars to put into a sales campaign. But we've tried a couple and those did spike the acquisition. So again, not coming from this space, I've learned that customer acquisition costs and long-term value, man, those are metrics, like it or not, you've got to know them and you've got to account for them.
Yeah. Well, for sure. The higher LTV SaaS products just have a lot more opportunities on the sales side. And I've worked, I mean, GrooveJar is $99 a month, right? And then you have other companies. I worked on a SaaS in the past that was something like $2,500 a month per client. So, I mean, the things that you can do at the much higher LTV level was just a lot more.
Yeah, you're going to be a bigger solution. Yeah, you're going to be a big, even us that are 50 and 130 a month, like it's still too much money for some of these users. But then at the other side, it's like, man, like I know on my cleaning company side, we spend over $2,000 a month in software, but you can't compare it, right? It's you've got to need that solution to pay for it. So it's just, that's where we realize we need to add more value. You know, if we want to charge more or create more avenues of revenue, you need to do more as a company.
Sure. Yeah. What are your thoughts on the long game or playing the long game? Because I mean, this process, from my experience with it and just kind of understanding how it works, it's not something that you necessarily expect a quick turn. I'm sure that happens occasionally. Like, oh, I saw this dude, Ricky, on this show. It's awesome. Like, look, they have this product. Like, yeah, maybe that happens occasionally, but probably it's a slow burn over time, I imagine, right? Where they get to know you, watch multiple episodes, over time. So how does that play out in your, I guess, your perspective on business as a founder?
Yeah. So I was in the beginning, I thought it would be quicker, right? I was like, oh, this is, this is going to be quick. People are going to, get it and want to jump on, super fast. That's software sales and software as a solution is different, man. Like you need to constantly be building. You need to constantly be turning a no into a yes. And the sale will happen immediately in some occasions, but then in some occasions, going after enterprise is another ballgame. Those people are going to take longer to sign on. And then you've got that whole process of a lot of people assume the solution is something that it's not until they really dig deep, do a demo. Nothing hurts me, Jim, more than when somebody churns and they never even did an onboarding. Not that it needs to be that complicated that you need it, but you've got to know what the solution is going to do for you as a business owner before you make that decision. But then that falls on us. That falls on us to just make it easier for them to understand this is mission critical, right? Like you cannot work without this solution. I hope to get to that point.
Yeah. I mean, I'm a big fan of, like, from the customer success perspective, doing everything we can in the onboarding phase to increase adoption. I mean, like, to the point, like, in my past, I would work to set up new clients and literally do everything for them. We'd get on a screen share call and I would completely set up. It's like, it's worth the investment of time almost always to do that, because it can be overwhelming to not have that walkthrough.
I can't tell you how many times. So Greg Berg, I get a shout out to him. He's our head of customer success, newly appointed chief experience officer. Cause this guy, he oozes route. He oozes what we're trying to do for the customer. Came into the business, nothing about cleaning, nothing about the industry. Never been involved with software customer success, but he just personally, his mission is to make sure you learn and understand why. Like, this is why you should be using this. And it hurts him when somebody doesn't get it. And he's like, Rick, I will set the merchant account up. I will set the client that you want here. Send over your clients. I'll upload them for you. You just want to get past that initial stage to where when the users are using Route today, they're using the shit out of it. Like they're using it, but it's getting there. Like you said, onboarding is for just, I think any software is crucial.
Yeah. What I've learned over time in regards to customer success is that, customer success is different than support. There's an element of assertiveness that's required, and you're really advocating for the success of the customer versus just their happiness, right? Like, if you know it's best for them, like, and you know personally, because you've been in there and are in their shoes, leading a commercial cleaning business, it's best for them if they adopt this product. They don't know that yet. They can't see that. So there's an element of assertiveness that's necessary to sort of push them down that path, knowing that the end result will be rich for them.
Yeah. And I do. And it's like, I'm telling the team all the time, it's like, you guys, can we do this? How can I get in front of them? How can I do, like, I just want to talk to everybody. Like, I want to show them, like, this is how it's going to help. Yes, it's missing this, it's missing that. We know we're going to add this and that, but it's like, if you use it just for these features today, it will help. And here's how, and here's why. a lot of them get it, but then there are the ones that just don't. And I mean, that's okay. That's okay. Cause then that's a challenge to get them back, when we do
Sure.
expand.
Yeah, absolutely. So how has the journey been over the last 3 years transitioning from leading a local service company to running a SaaS? Because I mean, they're obviously very different business models.
Very different. Yeah, man. I mean, so our local service company, right? Regalado is on its own trajectory and growth. And I'm always still involved. And I tell everybody knows that I have to be, because I feel like I'll lose a pulse of that industry if I ever go 100% route.
That's
so
right.
It's like, I feel like I have to be in some capacity. But it's a different game, because software, like you don't see them, you're not touching that sale. You're not touching the account. We have people in Bermuda, Argentina, Chile, Europe, Canada using Route today. I could never do that with Regalado. Like that's,
of course, yeah.
Yes. Yeah. Like we are growing. We're in 20 States, but we're in the US.
It's not the same. Yeah.
We're not going anywhere. Like for people in Canada to be using my product, I'm like, you guys, I love it. Like I love when we see the Stripe channels, see a new sign up, because it just shows somebody's interested. Somebody likes what they saw. Somebody wants to use the product. And on the Regalado side, that sales cycle is longer. It's, they're not signing up because they saw a quick ad, right? They either care about price, or it's part of their RFP period in time to be looking for the services, or, they saw a commercial on TV, right? Like, a Stanley Steamer or ABC Plumbing. Like the way that customers acquired it on the service-based business is much different than Route. I mean, but that's what I like about it, though. I actually like both challenges on both sides.
Have you considered, I mean, could this just popped in my mind, but could the model work, the cleaning and cocktails model? Because obviously that's a path for client acquisition for Route. Could that also work for your commercial cleaning business as well? Like, is that possible, you think?
No, it does. It actually does. When I have the segments because I've actually brought some of my Regalado team members on there, right? And I had a segment on humble beginnings of me, my wife, and my cousin when we first started. Like it touched people that like their heart. They were like, man, I want to work with that guy's company because they care about this, their values, their everything about them we want to be a part of. So it does work. Like it actually has good reflection on if that person is watching or on LinkedIn scrolling through and that cleaning and cocktails logo pops up and they're a procurement or facility services, they click on it. It works. Yeah. I mean, there's so much more can be done though. Like, we have a YouTube channel now that's my goal with the team is just content will be a sales funnel for that company. Not everybody buys that way, but you'd be surprised. We've had some employee videos, one especially the employee was speaking in Spanish, speaking about how they love Regalado and, it's changed their life and they just love the mission and the family feel. We had a customer, small, I'm not huge, but $8,000 a month, reoccurring revenue, a 2-year contract. They called in when they saw that. Like they said, hey, I saw this video on my friend's Facebook page. We're going out to bid for a contract, but I want to work with people I feel care about the service that they're providing for us. So I'm not going out for a bid. I'm just going to go with you guys. Like,
there's really something to that. I talk to folks, just founders that I think it's easy to get wrapped up in the idea of if you're selling the enterprise, you're selling to a huge company. But at the end of the day, people do business with people at every level. It's based on relationships and those connections. And the story, like you make a great point. Like I'm on the about page of Regalado and it says, we started by purchasing a small commercial cleaning franchise. My wife, father, cousin, and I quit our jobs and decided there was no going back. It was a rough ride for the first 2 years of business. We all worked 12, 16-hour days, practically for free, surviving on Dunkin' Donuts and Jimmy John's daily. I was like who's not going to appreciate the hustle in that story? Like it's awesome. It's
there's so much more about it too. It's like and that's something that I preach to everybody, Jim, too. Like when I'm talking to customers for Route, and that's why it's like, why wouldn't you want to work with a software solution or company that has been in your shoes to the extent of storytelling, right?
It's an easy sell.
I can tell stories for days where then they say, oh my God, that just happened to me last week. Like, where are you going to get that? Like, where would you get that from?
Totally. So I'm scanning your LinkedIn. I want to go a bit into your journey.
Mhm.
Was Regalado your first foray into the entrepreneurial space?
Yes.
So tell me about that. Tell me about that transition in, what was it, 2012?
Yeah. So I was working, and it's a great. I love telling this part too. It's like, so today I have a director of operations called Dominic, or called named Dominic Amoroso, and then I have Jay Gonzalez, who runs our Rosa contractor side, because we have a maintenance contracting division. So before my plunge into entrepreneurship, I used to work for Jay, and then
Okay.
Dom was my mentor and taught me sales back in the mortgage business. That was 07, 08, right? Of course, when the recession happened, and it was a bad
Yeah.
time to be in mortgages. So
Yeah.
I learned a lot from them. Jay took us under his wing in a couple of different businesses. Then we broke off, but then me and Dominic kept working together in different companies. And then it got to a point where we got to a big corporate company. I won't name the name, but like, I was just an account manager. I was busting my ass. He was busting his ass. And I was a number. Like, I had so
Yeah.
many ideas, and I realized, man, I told my wife, and I'm like, I got so many ideas I want to do. I want to bring this. I want to do this. I want to do that. And then nobody cares. Like, you're just like, hey man, you make 45, 50,000 a year.
Cog in the wheel.
Sit down, relax. We'll give you a shot, later.
Yeah.
But she was in a bad position. She wasn't happy at work because her work turned from her love and passion for makeup to your sales, retail, sell, right? So we were both at that point where, like, if I'm not happy, you're not happy, but we're happy together when we're working and having fun, right? Not that, because we used to do like some promotional stuff together, and we had fun, and we would take days off of our job to go do that and make money twice, right? So, but we just said, let's do it. We found the opportunity, we did it. And I saw the first 6 months, I thought it was still a side hustle. So I was still trying to look for another career, but I was doing this, and I said, it'd be cool to make 10, 20,000 a month, babe. Don't you think, on the side? And I'll make 60, 80 grand a year here. You do it, blah, blah, blah. And it was when we said, hey, no, let's actually do something here. Like, I landed a couple of accounts. We were making better money. 2 years in, we started making better money than we used to. So it was like,
nice.
This could be more. Let's keep focused on it. And we've never turned our heads back. And it's been off to the races since then.
That's great. And almost 10 years in now.
Yeah, man, it's
9 years. That's great.
Holy cow, 9 years in. Shit. Man, that's a long time.
So tell me, I want to change gears a bit and talk about sales. Obviously, that's a lifeblood for every founder, and it's something that you have a lot of experience with. So how would you distill down your experience in sales and sort of package up some advice to founders that are maybe new to sales?
Man, you know what? I would say that's a great question. Like, sales, for me, being in this new arena of the $50 a month and $100 a month type of product sales that we have, it's a longer road to get to the large number of, MRR that you need, right? MRR, I never referred to it as MRR when I was in my other business. And it was just, it was easier and faster to the sale as far as the number was bigger, right? My average contract size on Regalado was like $2,900 a month, right? I would love to have that be my average MRR for a client on route, but that's not going to, I'm not there yet. I won't be there. So you gotta be okay with, it's a longer road to gain traction. If you're doing all the work yourself and you don't have the funds to pump out there, just bear with it, right? Bear with it if you believe in the product and you believe in what the mission that you're on and the path you're going, because it takes time for people to adopt to your product. It takes time for the product to really, there's a lot of kinks, there's a lot of bugs, there's a lot of improvements that need to be made, especially if it's your MVP, and especially if you're not B2C, because I feel like B2C is a different ball game. You're talking about, hundreds of millions of opportunities versus, B2B is there's businesses. It's, and then the economy has a big effect on it. So
for sure,
just know that it's going to take some time, but get ready for those spikes. And if the spike happens, why did it happen? Multiply on that, or, double that effort, because when those spikes occur, you got to know why and really double down on it, because it's an important part. But we've been lucky, Jim. Like we're now on month 11, like right at pre-COVID. We've been on average of like 35 to 40 customers signing up for the product with little to no marketing. Like it's all organic. So, but the months we had a spike, we did put some money in, right? We did do an ad here and there. So, and it's all right, see, it will work. It's just when we're ready, like let's step it up and do some more. So, but you got to get through that. Not being a non-technical founder and non-startup and never doing this before. I struggled in the first 6 months to realize, like, damn, why aren't we at this MRR, or why can't we get there quicker? You can only go as far as the product can take you and how many people and eyes see your product.
I see. I mean, 2012, you were one of the guys cleaning, right? Like you were out there.
I didn't stop cleaning until like 2017, 18. Like I cleaned for a long time. I just stripped.
What's that transition been like for you? I mean, your businesses are growing. You have like over 200 employees at.
Oh, we got to update that. Yeah, we're up to almost 700 employees for Regalado.
You need to update that, man.
We're in 22 states. That's because we have a couple clients that are national that have taken us there.
Okay.
But it's helped me learn culture, and now I'm bringing that culture over to Route, where the team at Route. Man, they love what they do. And if I could tell anybody, it's just live, breathe, and be positive to your surroundings. Cause there's going to be a lot of, 2019 was a rough year for us on both sides. Like you're talking about, like it was a stressful time, but we remained positive, and the team saw that. So they're like, hey, if Ricky and the management is cool and doing good, then we're okay. We'll be in, we're secure. People just want to know they're secure. And there's a vision or a path for everybody to succeed. And I think we're doing a pretty good job across the board. Cause I've got every company so far, it starts with an R. So we call it the R family.
That's awesome. So how have you handled the transition as a leader, as a founder, from day one at the cleaning business to where you're at now with both businesses? I mean, the role has changed, and the expectations for the role and the requirements for the role have changed. How have you adapted to that over time, and how do you continue doing that?
So in the beginning, I was stuck doing everything. Like you hear it all the time, right? Like I was working in the business because I felt I had to do everything. I had to touch everything. If I didn't know it first, then nobody else will know it. You didn't go through everything I went through, so now you got to go through it. Like I would put people through, and I would put them in the trenches. But I started to realize you don't have to do that, right? There's a reason why we did it first. We can create a better path for that new employer, manager, especially management. Like management, that was a tough one to transition to higher management, because I had high expectations. And when something went south, it was like, well, that wouldn't happen to me. Like what happened? Like what, it was tough to delegate, but once I did, man, and I delegated to the right people, like that's why I talk about Dominic in the beginning and Jay, because now full circle, they work with me now, right? Now they're back, but it's because the type of personality, the drive, the passion that they have. I've got a lot of family. I got like 16 now family members that work with us, but it's because I trust them. I feel good with the businesses in their hands, because I have to be all in with Route, and they know that, but they know that I'm here, I'm an ear, and I'm there to be supportive to them, because I put the right people in place to run the shows.
Yeah. A conversation that comes up fairly often when I speak to founders is that, some people believe that there's a different skill set required. Well, there is a different skill set required from sort of 0 to 1, and then from 1 to N, right? Like, Now, some people can adapt to that. Some founders can adapt to that and become that person, upskill, et cetera, get the experience required. And then others decide to hire a CEO to operate at that sort of higher level, et cetera. So where are you at with that? And how do you make that determination?
Yeah. So with Route, I am the CEO, right? I have to be the visionary for the business. So, salesperson, the content creator. I've got to play those roles because we're still small. We're still early on. But I'm learning that definitely in this arena, I am not the smartest guy. in many rooms that we jump into. So, which is okay. Cause then I've learned from the things that I've learned from Regalado now is, yes, it's okay to delegate early. Right? It's if it's better for the company to put the right people in position to help the company grow and scale, do it. Do it fast, very fast, because then it's a longer journey. Where on Rosalado's side, I always thought I had to wear the hat, but now once I've done it, that we've learned a lot. The positions, you're right. Like some things that we failed at was we forcefully put people into positions thinking they were the right person for that job, but they were never the right person for the job to start with. We let emotions and we let, biased opinions get involved, or get those out of the way. Just define the role. Something I've been doing and we learn now is traction. It's an EOS process, right?
Yep.
Like, you've got the visionary, which that's what everybody says I am in all these different roles, right? Then you've got the integrator. I never had the integrator. So now I know, like, damn, now I see why so many things fell through the cracks or things didn't happen quickly because I wasn't the integrator to make those things happen. On Rosalado's side, we have that route. We're going to learn through it. We're still small, too small. I wouldn't say too small to have EOS and traction in place, but because I'm doing it over there, you better believe that's what I'm thinking already. Like we've had the different roles and different positions that we had as far as team members and management. Like if you have to define and identify that position and role first, then you put a name on it. I wasn't doing that before. Before I was putting the name on it and then putting the to-dos and tasks.
Oh,
so it was like
different.
Way different. Like,
yeah,
you got to know what the bucket is first. It's an imaginary bucket. What is the dream role and task that person's going to do? Now find the person that can do it. And it's like, dude, that was a complete mind shift for me because I was doing the traditional, like, hey, we're looking for a director of marketing. This is all the things they're going to do. But we lacked the socialized skills because you got to be a social person in marketing, right? And sales, you got to be a relationship builder. So it's not cookie cutter, man. It really isn't. Like if you want to stand out and be different, then you're not going to have cookie cutter roles. But I guess it could be very far out there too. I've seen roles that are like chief happiness officer, and I'm like, who's that?
Yeah.
What is that role? I can think of somebody for that, but I mean, but who cares? Like, hey, like do it. Like if we were thinking about having a chief people officer. Why? Because we feel like that person's job could just focus on people and motivate and inspire. And because if you don't have engaged people, you're screwed. Like I don't care what business you're in.
Yes.
I've seen some people that have just bad bosses, and I'm like, how do they work for that person? Like it boggles my mind.
Well, they just generally don't for very long.
They don't for a long time.
And then the ship starts to sink at that point.
Yeah.
So when is the right time or size in your mind to integrate a tool like EOS and Traction?
You know what? You've got to have, I would say, at least 4 to 5 people in a management role to really do that, that are going to have people underneath them or a division underneath them, in my opinion, because then it's really going to work. Because then you've built the foundation that's what EOS can take a company and do it and like create processes for you that it's harder to do that when you're 15, 20 people in management roles. Because then it's like, well, who's going to be involved? Who's in charge of who? You start to worry about org charts. It's like build that org chart early on, and you're not going to run into those problems. Because we ran into those problems, like who's in charge of who and who's the your cross department, man. Like that's a sweet spot to me. If you have 4 to 5 people, including you as the business owner, and if you have 2 partners and you 2 are 2 out of the 5, I think that's a good time, because then it's the foundation to just growing with just less headaches and less. It's stressful. Growth is growth is stressful when.
It's a good problem to have, but it is quite stressful.
Yeah, man, it really is. But traction has been important. We're not fully done yet. We're not fully implemented. We've just had the initial conversations. Like we know what it's going to look like. We've done some exercises to get us ready for an implementer. Because
That was my next question is
yeah,
if you're adopting it yourselves or are you hiring a consultant to help you
we're gonna
put that into place?
we're gonna hire a consultant. And again, it's like
Mhm.
people may say, well, Rick, that's for Regalado, it's not for Route. Well, man, guess what? Like that's gonna help build the framework for Route. If I do
Totally.
it there, like how much
Yeah.
easier it's gonna be once, like what I tell you, like when we hit the 5-person manage,
Yeah.
EOS is starting ASAP, man. Like
Yeah.
that's gonna be, but do it here first. Like do
For
it on
sure.
the other side.
Yeah, absolutely. What's next for you personally as a founder? I mean, let's talk 5, 10 years down the line. What are you aiming for in the future?
I mean, man, I hope that or I know that Regalado is going to grow and just grow, right? Like our goal is when we measure success, it's by how many employees we have, right? We want to hit, 2, 3, 5,000 employees for the business. And we hit that, we know that we've gained the success and we've built a legacy at that point. We have already, but I want to have a sustainable business that we're always creating jobs for Regalado. And then on the Route side, I want to create a business, and the vision for Route is to impact thousands of sub vendors, thousands of contractors. That I want the end goal to say, I can't live without Route because it's helped me grow my business to the point where, I have time to play with my kids. I have time
Yeah.
for my wife to stay at home, right? Like I've seen what that has done for me.
Yeah.
I want to do that for others. I just don't want to be a solution for their business. I want to be a solution for their life.
Yeah. Are you still enjoying what you're doing? Are you still enjoying this journey? I mean, 9 years is not a small amount of time to be hustling through this. So how does that break down by the day? I mean, are you still enjoying the process?
Oh yeah. I mean, it's stressful as hell. Like, there's days, there's ups and downs. But I do a lot of running and I work out, I play basketball, right? And I'll put those AirPods on for the first hour of my day. And that's when I focus on, do I love what I'm doing? Do I love what I'm doing? What else is next? Am I sure this was the right decision? Is my wife happy with this? Is my family, am I talking to my mom? Like, I'm a very family person. And
Yeah,
when
I can hear that.
when I go days without talking to them or helping them, it's like, when I lost my father, it was like, did I talk to him enough in that last week? Like those are the things that it hurts, because us generally as humans, all we know to do is work. Like we just know that we're supposed to provide a paycheck, feed our kids, work, feed our kids, drive to work, do work. Like everything revolves around work. So you better love what you do. And in all honesty, man.
Finding that balance is not an insignificant challenge. The work-life balance, call it family work balance. So how do you do that? I mean, you have the situation, your pop passes away, you're trying to reconcile, and we all do that, and we probably shouldn't, but trying to figure like, damn, what should I have done better? So like how do you reconcile then finding that balance as you go forward?
Oh man, I wish I knew the answer. Like that's the toughest part for me, because I hate when I have to tell like my wife or somebody, like I'm busy. Like I gotta finish this. I gotta finish that. I gotta finish this. But I feel like you just have to do the best you can in the moments that you do realize, like, oh, stop, pick up the phone, stop, send that text message, stop, send that email, like, or just stop and go home. Like that's the best thing I'm able to do is when I realize, like today, I'm going to cut out early. I'm just, I can. So I'm just going to cut out early, just go back home and just spend that extra time. But it's hard when when you have multiple businesses, right? For me, for Route, like we're at that crucial point where this is a big year for us. We got to make that work. So I try to communicate that to my family to say, but I'm always the king of this, is give me one more year. Give me one more year. Like I'm almost there, but it's, give me the time to help us in the future. But you got to be scared of the future. It's not guaranteed, man. So it's a careful line to walk. I hate when people say you have to do this, or, cancel out a Monday for this, do that. That's easier said than done. It really is. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. So I'm curious, you go back 9 years ago and you have a conversation with Ricky 9 years ago. What advice do you give him based on what you've learned over the last 9 years?
I mean, I would say educate myself more on business ownership. Like, I think I've made some mistakes that I shouldn't have, but it's because I didn't know. I mean, I'm talking about when I didn't know anything about being a business owner. Just educate myself, or maybe bring on a mentor. I never brought a mentor on. I never brought a coach. And I see
You
now.
think that would have accelerated the process for you if you had done it like year 4, year 5, or
Yeah,
whenever?
I think it would have, especially the processes of delegation and the processes of stop working in the business. Like, I was never told that. Like, so I just did it.
See.
So, like, right now I have people that will reach out, and I don't coach, I don't mentor, but I do. I help them with any tips I can, any advice. But this guy that I just met, he's a shout out to him. This guy Ishmael, he flew to a conference to meet me, to just say, Rick, I just want to shadow you. Like, I just want to meet the industry. I'm new to the business. I'm trying to grow, but like, I never did that. Like,
how can you not respect that? I mean, that's
like, like, how do you not?
How do you say no to that guy? I mean,
no, yeah, he came there and he went and met somebody else that we also know in a group. But like, I wish I would have asked for help instead of trying to do it all myself, because it really would have accelerated. Just giving myself more time to make better decisions. But I'm making better decisions now. So, hey, it is what it is. But coaching and mentoring, I can't say it enough. It's a must, man.
What specifically? Like, let's get a little bit more granular with this. We're talking about how to create P&Ls. That's sort of the financial side. Is it the leadership delegation side? I mean, like, what would be the priorities? If you gave this advice to yourself from years past, like what would be the priorities and what you would get coaching for? I
would like setting up the systems and processes. Well, to your industry, right? Like, every industry is different, but like, if when the sale comes in, how to onboard the account, how to train, how to hire the next big supervisor position, right? The accounting, like AR and AP shouldn't be the same person. Here's why. For accounting and financials, either bring somebody on early or use an outsource. Stop doing it yourself, because you're just creating more work at the end. And then grabbing all together to say, find those people and find the solutions out there early on to set it up, because when I was in year 5, year 6, it took us a long time to clean up some of the messes that, that happened. Yeah. But those are the things, like, pinpoint the things that you are not good at and just find a better solution, because you're not helping. I could say I learned a shit ton that I can speak on every department because I had to do it. So, I mean, there's like a give and take, Sure.
Yeah, absolutely. And by the way, I don't think you're giving yourself enough credit on the mentorship side. Like, that's what you're doing right now in this conversation. That's what you guys do with, cocktails and cleaning. I mean, that is that, right? Like, you're mentoring business owners, and specifically in the cleaning space, that are just not as far along the path as you are. And
I mean,
is that
there's a passion there that we're all talking about within the company, because we have companies that'll fly in and just take a tour around the office and learn every department from us. So we do it, but there's like no agenda, or there's no structure to it. But I mean, I know the team everybody loves to do it. So again, it's just like a product of their, how do you say that? Like, we are the product of our environment or whatever. Like, I've told them, we've dabbled with, hey, should we build a workshop? Should we build a training curriculum? Because it'll only improve the industry. Like, other fellow business owners in our space should operate their business professionally, because if we do, we're going to be able to charge more because our service is more polished, and we know our stuff, where we can ask for a higher dollar amount because we want to pay for a better, dollar amount. We shouldn't be paying anybody minimum wage. The bar should be raised. But that only comes with knowledge, and there's not that much training and workshops out there. So you're right. We would be selling ourselves short. Like, we are thinking about it, but it's not structured. So that's probably more what I meant.
Yeah. Well, really what you're hitting on here is the abundant versus scarce mindset. Like, you guys obviously have an abundant mindset. 'Cause I mean, I think that there's a tendency from some founders to have this fear of, like, the industry's only so large, like, we can't help somebody else do well. But really, it improves the entire space. You know,
No, yeah,
it
because
just always makes sense.
you're right. Yeah, because that's what we would say. Like, man, we can't really, for onboarding, can we do that? These are the 200 customers. We're not going to have enough time in the day to do all that. But
Yeah.
there's certain ways to streamline that. And again, if you make the right, if you affect the right people early on and they get it, it's, multiply, keep multiplying that. Because then at the end of the year, you've impacted 2, 3, 4, 500 people.
Yeah.
You're good. They're impacted. They know what they're doing. Go, and then you just keep impacting more. So no, you're right.
Love it. Well, Ricky, this has been fun. The time has gone by extremely quickly. I want to be respectful of the rest of your day, and I think it's great that you're going home and taking the rest of the day off. So I want to let you do that. But thanks for being so gracious with your time. I really appreciate it. Where can people find you to reach out, or maybe prospective customers, or just founders that want to say hello?
Yeah, hey man, LinkedIn and Instagram. I'm always
Perfect.
on it. I answer all the DMs. I answer any messages. That's the easiest ways, because like Instagram, it's my first and last name. Same with LinkedIn. So yeah, those are the best ways.
Great. Is it under Ricky or Ricardo?
The LinkedIn I think is Ricardo, but the Instagram is just at Ricky Regalado.
Perfect. And we'll have links on our landing page as well. So cool. Anything you wanted to hit on or mention before we head off air?
No, man, just, hey, we're here to empower the space, and, thankful to Jim to giving us this vehicle to just speak on the stories, speak on the industry, speak on, the solutions that we're trying to do to impact.
Absolutely. All right, Ricky, appreciate it. Hope you have a good afternoon.
Right. You too, man.
All right.
Thank you.
Cheers.